Jessie Sage, and I am the host of When We're Not Hustling, and this is The After Party.
Hi, I'm Emily Foster. I am the producer of When We're Not Hustling. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And this episode, we are talking about the Mix Puxaplenty.
Yeah, I love talking to them.
Holy moly.
We talked about fat liberation, and
yes,
it was great. So actually, they reached out to me because they host a conference called FatCon. I was going to say fat.com, FatCon.
FatCon.
Yeah. And they were it's so interesting, like how, like, you have to kind of work around this. Cause I get this message from them that was like, hi, Jessie, and we know each other, how are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. I was wondering, do you consider yourself plus size? Don't think that they want to be like, you're fat. Do you want to be a
right? Hey, babe. No, you're thick as fuck.
And I was like, wow, that was graceful. Yes, I do.
Yes, that's a lovely way to approach it. Yeah. Oh, that's so cool.
And so I was really excited.
Amazing.
Yeah, I was really excited when I found out about it. And I went to the website, and I think any plus size, fat, however you like identify person, curvy person who's interested in this should really go. It's in Seattle in January. This is going to be the second one. They have four tracks, right? Like education. I can't remember off the top of my head, but like a legislative track too for medical sort of stuff. It's great. There's so much programming.
There's health resources. There's dancing, like creative resources. Just truly amazing.
The thing I thought was really great, like you said, is that it's not just that it's like, okay, so how do we negotiate the medical system as a fat person, which is very important, or huge. How do we talk about fashion? But it was also like, how do we embody how do we occupy our bodies with joy? Not just like, oh, I got to find clothes that fit over these hips, which is always my problem. This is why I gave up on pants. I'm like, I can't.
I've kept them out of frame, but I have incredibly large breasts, and it's been a lifelong journey to get them into things, and it's so hard.
It's really hard. You can't just go into the store and buy something, and so that's all. Like, all that informational stuff is really important, but what they're doing there too is like kink stuff, burlesque dancing, fashion, and fun, and that's so cool.
No, and speaking of burlesque, they're in the top 50 burlesque performers of America.
Like top 20,
they're like number 11 or something. Like it's something crazy. Yeah,
in the world.
And
for a fat Black non-binary person, I think that's amazing. I'm so impressed by that, because you think of burlesque performers and you think of like Dita Von Teese,
Sure. Well, like with most things, what we've been shown is the skinny white version of it. And that's okay. That's lovely. But we've seen it in every form. it's just right. I mean, all politics aside, it's just visually refreshing to see.
It is, just something different.
Sizes, right.
But,
in a very real sense too. Like something like 45% of America is considered overweight. That might even be obese. I don't quote me on these numbers.
We did talk in an episode about that whole BMI.
And we had talked about it, and I remember Googling it, and it's like, I don't see that representation out there at all.
No.
And I've had a lot of health issues that have resulted in me being a lot of different sizes, but I've been much, much larger than I am now. And it was never positively shown until maybe those Dove ads. Do you remember the Dove ads?
I do remember that, because that was a big deal.
Yeah, that was all I think they took all of the athletes, and they had a picture of like 300 women at the peak of their athletic performance, and every possible body shape and size. And, it was like, oh, I kind of look like a wrestler. Oh, cool. It really, I don't know. She brought up a
like
lot
representation is so important, because I feel like we talk a lot about this just in general about like representational politics, but it's really important when you see, because there have been things that like there's a lot of ways in which like seeing other people being like sexy and beautiful, having things that like I criticize myself about, when you know, I'm like, oh, but that's hot on that person. And then I have to like retrain myself, you know, and I'm like, oh, but why is that so terrible on me? And then I'm like, maybe it's not.
Right. Maybe it isn't. Okay. So I have to tell you that something that she said not only lives rent free in my head, but has become a mantra for me.
Okay. Yeah. I want to hear
it. So she was talking about this experience she had with a lover, and he was overweight, and she grabbed his fat rolls.
Yeah.
And he like shied back from that. And they are so, they actually are really clear about this. It's not body positive. They are body neutral. They are just in their body and loving it. And they said, well, you better figure your shit out quick. Like, I'm going to touch those. I'm going to love those. You sit still long enough. I'm going to butter them up and start nibbling at them. Said something like, you know, butter them up, put jam on them. There was something in there.
Yeah.
And Pucks just embodies themselves in a way that leaves zero room for question of whether or not they should be exactly the way they are. And there was something about them saying that, about them saying like, I'm gonna butter that up. That now, like, when I look at myself and criticize myself, I often criticize my entire neck area, this whole scene. I'm just like, oh, that. Now I look at it and I hear Mixed Pucks going, oh, butter that up and nibble on it. And I was like, you know what? Someone somewhere
finds that really hot.
And it just,
one of my clients told me one time, and I loved this, that because this is gonna sound like a weird thing to say, but I think many people through the aging process realize this. Sometimes I look in the mirror and I see my parents' body, and it's weird to me. And it's not even necessarily like bad. It's not like I'm being, I have a beautiful mom. Like, it's not like I'm being critical, but like, it's weird.
It's just weird.
It's just weird.
You're like,
because it's things I remember like from her being in her 40s when I was a teenager, when that seemed like I wouldn't, like, she looks like an old lady, whatever. Like, and one of the things is these, like, you can't really tell on the Zoom, but like the lines, like the creases on your chest, you know, that
especially
are just
if you're a person who's been in the sun.
Yeah, they just become like permanent wrinkles that like go down your chest. And I remember being like, wow, that's a thing my mom has. That was never a thing I had. That's so weird. And then a client telling me out of nowhere, we weren't even talking about that. They're like, you know what I think is really hot is that. And I was like, what?
That.
That, out of all of the things.
Out of everything. Spent a considerable amount of time and money on a lot of these things. That's the thing, huh?
That's the thing. But it's just interesting because there's so many like of these little things that I was like, that's so weird, because that's something I looked at and was like, man, I'm aging. And somebody else was like, oh, well, that's cool. That shows you've been somewhere, you know? And I think, I think that there's something so powerful about seeing people who just occupy their bodies and who, and that's what I'm trying to say is like looking at pictures of other people who have bodies that are like mine, especially in like art or, you know, like artsy pictures or something. And I'm like, man, that's really beautiful. And then it causes me to rethink about myself. And I think that, I don't know. I love talking to people who have bodies that aren't considered like conventionally attractive or, you know, any features, and seeing how crazy our idea of conventionally attractive is.
Yeah. And also, you know what you're saying, like truly people just embodying their bodies and feeling
that's attractive.
comfortable in them. And, I just want to be clear. I understand that thin people with bodies that we may perceive as perfect suffer
absolutely
all kinds of dysphorias and discomforts. And I have often found that the people who have the bodies that are, like, I know it's not healthy, but still, if I could like pick a body, it would look like this, like in a way that I love mine, but like,
right.
And I will, and then I find out that, they hate being short, or they hate being thin, or, there's all these other challenges. So I do want to recognize, like, this is not if you look conventionally attractive, you're exempt from this. But
no, absolutely.
It's people who just,
or that there's any problem with looking conventionally attractive.
No, everybody looks good.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I'm awkwardly trying to approach is like, everybody looks good, happy with themselves.
Yeah.
Everybody looks good and happy. Like, everyone looks good. Just going, okay, no, I am all right. I don't have to be my type. I'm someone's type.
Yeah. And somebody is everybody's type.
Absolutely.
My friend Nancy likes to say, all pots have lids.
That's so cute. I love that.
And that seems true.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. It's just finding your lid or your pot or whatever side of this metaphor.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cute. I really enjoy that.
Yeah. I like that too. And I did like the fact that it was almost like that whole story that lives rent free in your head. It was almost like what they were saying is a condition for being my lover is not that your body look any particular way, but that you embrace whatever it is.
That you like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or at least leave room for me to like it.
Yeah, that's a better way of saying it. Yeah.
Like that you could, because they were really clear about that body neutrality.
Right.
You don't have to love it. I don't have to love my chin and neck, but I do have to be like, that's what my chin and neck look like. Like, that's an Emily shaped neck right there. It sure would be weird to have a different one. And by doing that and just being like, oh yeah, that's me. That leaves room for someone to really like it,
Absolutely.
That leaves room for me to get nibbled on my neck and not be all weird about it,
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that's probably a good place to end.
To wrap that one up. Yeah.
Yeah. I am sure there are lots of people watching who would love to nibble your neck.
Well, I'm just going to leave this one with me blushing. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I promise I will be more comfortable with my neck as time goes on.